Alrighty, well, hello everybody. Elena Mosaner here. It's May 9th, 2022, and this is our monthly workshop, online workshop here at HypnoCloud. Today I'm going to talk about the power of feminine, and there's been a lot of conversation about feminine and masculine. The reason I really wanted to talk about it, it's because I've been somewhat moved and even inspired and perplexed with some of the things that I saw in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, and a lot of conversation happening around it. When I read comments, when I read some articles, some reviews, there's a lot of interesting conversation about certain kind of femininity, and people talk about toxic femininity, which is something that people were afraid to talk about for a long time, and now it's kind of on the surface. It's right there, and I want to talk about feminine and what it is, right? It's important first to identify that feminine and masculine are two inner energetics, right? And Carl Jung was one of the first people to start talking about it, especially when he mentioned the idea of animus in anima, which is the inner masculine and inner feminine. Inner anima is your feminine, and animus is your inner masculine. And women have animus, and men have anima, which is feminine. And we are kind of moving in the direction of life and the future where people are able to kind of move from one side of dynamic energetic pole to another. So it's kind of like a combination of things, and it's not just one specific gender, right? That's why there's been so much conversation around gender neutrality and so on and so forth, androgyny. It's a very high concept kind of philosophy and idea, but there is some insight and some observation there that is worthy of attention. It's also interesting to note that feminine and masculine, there are certain characteristics when we talked about those, right? So feminine is primarily about expansion and masculine is about direction. And it's very similar to the concept of awareness and mindfulness, where in meditation we think about awareness, where awareness can be on so many levels. It's what I'm sensing, it's what I'm hearing, it's what I'm perceiving, it's what I'm seeing, it's what I'm smelling or what I touch, right? All five senses. And then the power of presence that can happen through sensing things, just being right here, right now. And it can be very difficult to kind of surrender to just being here and sensing the power of being present, because we're always in our head. And that's awareness, right? Complete and full awareness. When you communicate with someone, you're aware of your own body, you're aware of what you're saying, as opposed to becoming, a slave to a thought or an observation or judgment in your head, right? There's complete awareness, even of the thoughts that are coming into your head. There's a book called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, where he talks about surrendering this conversation, this inner dialogue, constant surrender. It's judging, it's evaluating. So I'm just surrendering. It's this surrender experiment. And when he surrendered completely, things started happening naturally to him in his life, right? And so it's still an interesting book that you can look into. So that's the surrender, and surrender is the feminine quality. Okay, there are healthy characteristics of feminine and unhealthy characteristics of feminine, just as well as healthy and unhealthy for the masculine. And healthy characteristics of feminine is the power of presence, being right here, right now, playful, joyful, nurturing, caring, paying attention, paying close attention to things. Unhealthy characteristics of feminine are in things like manipulating, being vindictive, gossip, misleading or taking advantage of things. But really, it's more about this very strategic manipulation, right? Because there are ways you can do it through emotion, through pushing the buttons, and it's just like there's a whole game that can be set by the feminine, and that the power of expanding and really weaving into things. That's really unhealthy. So, but there can be a backlash from that. So it's important to be careful. Now, the masculine, if we want to talk about some healthy characteristics of masculine, it is about strategic planning. It's about forward movement. It's about being analytical, right? It's about super focus. Now, the unhealthy characteristics of masculine is domination, or unhealthy domination, or tyrannical behavior, or sadistical behavior, right? Or self-centeredness or self-righteousness, right? They overly focusing on yourself as you are the supremacy. They talk about the being supreme, thinking you're supreme. That's the unhealthy form of masculine. So that's why it's important to have both masculine and feminine, right? And more importantly, having healthy versions of these dynamics. I've also noticed an interesting pattern. So in some of the developmental models, like one of them, spiral dynamics, there is, I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but just very briefly, how there's a movement as we develop, we always move from community to self, right? Everybody else, transcendence, expansion, and self achievement, forward movement, right? Again, so that's really the development of ourselves as individuals, as well as societies and cultures and countries, right? So just very briefly in spiral dynamics, how there is an element of the basic survival. So you think about yourself, right? Then you move into this magical purple level where it's about community and being in the tribe and connecting with the tribe. Then somebody from the tribe moves into the power. I'm going to lead the tribe. I know where to go, and we're going to go south and catch the fish. So that's the self orientation. It's about my skills, my power. So that's a dangerous area because we've seen thousands of years ago where war can happen based on these qualities, right? One tribe, another tribe, and the leaders can start going into conflict with one another because of the ego-centeredness, right? My way, right? So it's about my way. Then we move into the blue, and then orange, and again, blue is community. It's setting up certain rules in the community, having peace. And then orange, where it's about achievement again. This is a lot where America have been for a long time, and now it's moving into the green, the human relations and transcendence and connection, and these ideas of caring for each other, being empathetic, being compassionate, building compassionate conversations, right? And then finally, there's this yellow stage where it's integration of all of these levels, where you transcend and include them. The importance of transcending and including. Transcendence is feminine. You transcend things, right? And then you include all insight from your life as you move forward. That's the masculine again. So again, bringing our attention to the power of feminine, which is transcendence, awareness, and feeling comfortable with it, because it's actually quite uncomfortable for many of us to be present, because many of us can be fearful to just be ourselves, because there are parts of me that aren't fitting or I don't like. If only people saw it. Or if I just relax, completely surrender and relax, what if I start acting that is unacceptable? Or what if they really see me for who I am, right? Or that's when I work with stage performance or performance anxiety, right? Or social anxiety. This can be quite common, your inability to completely relax and be yourself. There's a lot of inner judgment going on. So the power of surrender is in surrendering your discomfort, in surrendering your even insecurity or fear, anything that's going on in the body. It's the power of completely surrendering it without any fear that if I only surrender and let go, I'm unsafe, right? There's the first thought that may come to your mind. I'm unsafe. I need to protect myself. But that's the mind, right? It's the mind that's telling you, perhaps based on your personal history or the culture you grew up in. So just the ability to completely be present. You may feel uncomfortable in your body, but that's the power of awareness, transcendence, and surrender. That's the power of feminine, the healthy form of feminine. And this is what I'd like to do our meditation about. Some other times we'll do meditation on integrating masculine and feminine, right? Today, I'd like to really focus on the power of feminine, power of surrender, power of complete undeniable awareness. So with that said, we're going to move into our meditation today. Unless there are any questions. Do you have a question? Yes, feel free to type it in. There you go. Miguel has a question. What about the right and left hemisphere of the brain? Is the right feminine and left masculine? In some ways, it's a good question, because the left is considered the analytical part of you, and the right is considered the creative part of you. So it's a good question, and possibly yes, it's possibly that the right part is more creative, imaginative, right? Creativity means surrender. Imagination means you allow yourself to imagine. Even Einstein said imagination is so much more powerful than the fact, right? And this is where so much insight that's been drawn from the power of imagination. Yeah. And we need both. We know that we always need both. We need the right and the left. We need masculine and feminine, right? So good question. Is it possible to sync both brains into one? We they are already together. You see, they're inseparable, so they're kind of one. I think there's a way to, and it's a good question. You're probably talking about how can we be both analytical and creative, for example. And this is actually mindfulness and awareness. So mindfulness, which is directive masculine, is about choosing a point of focus like your breath. Just your breath, and then you move your awareness into other senses and into imagining, right? That's creative. So you're choosing a focus, like in driving, can be considered masculine because it's about complete and undeniable focus, right? Masculine, and it's a loud thing to say because there's been this perception that only men can drive. I remember in Russia, this is what people think, only men can drive. But in a sense, it's masculine quality because it's directive and it's focused, right? It's focus. So, and women are able to do that. They're able to do that as well because we have that directive force. We have the force of mindfulness within us. It's not completely foreign to women, just as well as men can embody certain feminine characteristics, right? And maybe learn to meditate and learn to communicate in a way that is not so self-righteous or even violent in some ways, right? So that's why they say that the feminine can save the world, because the feminine can save the world from violence. They can be often derived and not derived, arise from the unhealthy masculine, actually, from the unhealthy masculine. Okay, so thank you so much for these questions. How can a writer be creative and analytic at the same time? Well, analytic, if you schedule appointments with yourself, that's analytic, because there are a lot of writers out there, they're not writing. They're actually just thinking about writing, but they're not. But if you make appointments with yourself and you make it a habit to write between 9 and 12 every day, that's your masculine. That is your analytical. That is your strategic. I'm writing 5 days a week. I'm going to come down. Even if nothing comes in, I'm going to sit down and write. And then you allow your creativity to come in and blossom. So you have to be a bit of an eternal guide. And that's the power of your analytical. Good questions, Miguel. Thank you. Okay, so let's get going into our meditation to help us experience the feminine quality, or the animus, the power of awareness. And I will also give some suggestions to help enhance that quality. All right, so let's go ahead and close our eyes. And take a long and deep breath in. Slowly exhale. And another deeper breath. Slowly exhaling. And now just moving your attention into your body. And really becoming aware of everything that is happening, starting with how you feel. Notice the feelings you have, any emotions, anything that's been happening before we started the session. Whether you feel neutral or upset or excited, or there are things you've been dealing with. So just notice any residue of any feelings or emotions or anything you might be feeling right now. And now suddenly bring your awareness into your ears and what you're hearing. Surrendering each and every thought that could be entering your mind. Just emptying your mind, staying quiet and relaxed. And now moving your attention into smell. And as you inhale through your nose, just notice if you can smell anything. Probably nothing, but you can bring your awareness into your nose regardless. And just be aware of the fact that you're able to have a sense of smell. And now move your attention into your sense of touch. And just notice where your hands are, where your feet are, and how they feel as they touch the surface of anything. Any sensations in your body from the clothes you're wearing. And now bringing your attention back into your entire body. You can think of your internal organs, your digestive system, and your heart as it beating as the blood is circulating throughout the body, through the veins, moving into your blood and your heart and out. Now move your attention into your mind, into your brain. And think of your left and right brain and how there's quietness, stillness, and nothing that is happening. There's deep, profound relaxation. And think of any discomfort you may have experienced in the last weeks, days. And it can come from anything, really. And think how right now, right here, you can be aware of that discomfort. Just 100% awareness where it's in your body, what thought that may carry together with it, emotion or feeling. And just breathe into that. Don't fight it. And sit right through it. Because the way out is not out, but right through it. Through any pain, discomfort, or tension. Right through it. Any tension, discomfort, any frustrations that you may have experienced in the last days or weeks or months even. Allow yourself to bring it right here, right now. Experience it as much as you can. Be aware of it in your body, in your mind. And right through it, by fully experiencing it, almost as if you're getting out of it. By allowing it to be, by allowing it to dissipate, as you surrender it, letting yourself expand. So as if you took a glass of water, clean water, and put a tiny little drop of paint, and it would just begin to dissolve all throughout. And so you can let any tension, discomfort dissolve into space, into tiny little particles, by trusting it own dissolution. You may feel uncomfortable, but it's okay. As a result, you feel safe, more empowered, and more confident. You're safe, empowered, and confident. You are safe, empowered, and confident. You are safe, empowered, and confident. Just letting these comfortable feelings to develop as you begin to come out, gently out, feeling good, refreshed, as if you're taking a good nap. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and welcome back. Feeling good? Okay. You can type in last few things of thought that you might have. I hope you enjoyed this meditation, and if you are listening to the recording of this session, please feel free to reach out to me and comment. There are a number of sessions at HypnoCloud for confidence to help embody the feminine. There's also a good session on helping one embody a goddess. That's for women mostly, and confidence sessions as well, like social confidence, performance confidence, and there is also a Vipassana meditation, guided meditation. I ask you when you stop recording. Yes, so I'm going to stop recording now, and thank you everybody for coming in and watching this.